When you think of evil, you know it's the most powerful at night in the darkness. All evil hates the light. There's nothing like a good spooky story, is there? The thrill of the Nephilim, demons and bad spirits, lost in the mysticism. It's intoxicating. But what if that's the point? The stories, the rituals, the lit candles, they pull you in. They distract you, keep you blind to what's really out there, just beyond the firelight. It plays tricks, you know, the darkness. It dangles hope like a lure, then snatches it away. You chase that slither, but every step pulls you deeper and deeper into it. Look up, see the moon, so beautiful, so still, calling you, promising secrets in its light. While you're searching the night, something listens, something ancient. It loves your fascination, your chance, your chauffeur, because every night you search for it, calls it closer. It pulls you forward, whispering your name. Each step feels right, like you're meant to follow. But what if it's not what it seems? The moon weaves its light like a lure, and you're already caught. Every step deeper, the clouds shift in the heavens, making the night sky have light. The air thickens, and something watches from the shadows. Its light isn't safety, it's a trap. Darkness isn't just the absence of light, it's alive, it breathes. It waits. Step into it, and you're not alone. You're never alone. Every step you take, it's there, matching your pace. You can't see it, but it sees you. And it knows you're entertained. Follow it if you must, but it's leading you to them. Hello, and blessings to you. You know, one of the most controversial topics in Scripture is the calendar of Yah. This video is not about winning the calendar debate. It's not about arguing over 3 days and 3 nights. And it's not about arguing over the barley. The moon is the topic of this video. Not to argue, but to share some things with you that you might not know. First off, we must understand the word lunar comes from the word lunatic. So your first clue is the word lunar itself. We are given the sun and moon as a representation of Messiah and the adversary. Light and dark, good and evil. Without understanding the light of Genesis 1:3 and the light of Genesis 1:14, there is no chance of understanding the calendar of Yah, and many just give up and follow the Jews. The first time we see the word moon in the Torah, it is the word Urek. And this is the word that we see when the word moon is used in an astrological sense. The word for month is Chodesh, and it is never used in an astrological sense. There is no etymological path for your wreck to become Chodesh. Take this example from Scripture. Isaiah 60:19. And the sun shall no more be your light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto you. Here we have Urek. That means the actual moon. If we used Chodesh, it would read like this. The sun shall no more be your light by day, neither for brightness shall the month give light unto you. See how all this all of a sudden makes no sense? Now, in the same book of Isaiah, that'd be 66:23, and it shall come to pass that from new moon to new moon shall all flesh come to worship before me, says Yahweh. Here we have Chodesh, meaning the 30 days the moon cycles. A month. This is a new month. We are children of light. We count the days, not the nights. The moon cycles 29.5 days a month. But if you count the days, that rounds out to 30 days a month. To follow the moon, a person would be off 10 days a year. And then you'd run into the 13th month every 4 years. That coincides with the pagan calendar, and this is commonly known as a leap year. If the word had been Urek, you guys would have 100% proof the month is the new moon, but it doesn't. And even if it did, people would fight over if the new moon was totally dark or totally light, or is it just a slither? Confusion is of the devil. Nowhere in Torah does it have a new moon listed in any kind of way. If we go to the Greek, it's like that too. You have the use of new moon, and it translates to new month to keep context, as there is a totally different Greek word that just means the physical moon, and there is no etymological path for moon to become month in the Greek either. The first instance of new moon is in Numbers 29:6 and 1 Samuel 20 verse 5. In the Hebrew, when it's translated, there's no difference between new moon and month. But the word Chodesh is the Hebrew text. What is missing in the text is the word new. All instances of translating Chodesh as new moon should be translated as new month, with no change in the meaning of the verse. The reason the new was added was from Babylon. Much of our Bible has Babylonian language in it. The example would be Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Daniel's name is God is my judge. Hananiah is Yah has been gracious. Mishael, who is God is. And Azariah, Yah has helped. But the chief officials gave them new names. They were given these names after pagan gods in King Nebuchadnezzar's service. To Daniel, the name of Belteshazzar means Baal's prince. And Baal, or Baal, was the principal god of Babylon. To Hananiah, the name Shadrach, and this was the moon god. of Babylon, and to Mishael the name of Meshach, and it is whose god is called Sin, which is another Babylonian god, and to Azariah the name Abednego, and this means he is a servant of the pagan god Nabu. The Babylonian moon god Sin was central to the Mesopotamian religion, linked to fraternity, time, wisdom, and omens. Lunar cycles governed the calendar, influencing rituals. These practices are relevant due to the Babylonian influence on Jewish exiles. At the first crescent moon, priests offered food, bread, dates, wine, incense at Sin's temple. These sought blessings for crops, fraternity, or royal success. The new moon marked the month's start, and this is where I'll get into that, but this is where it's changed in the Jewish calendar, and it was seen as Sin's renewal, granting divine favor. Full moon on the 15th day involved sacrifices, sheep, goats, and purification rites to appease Sin, what a god's name, huh? And other gods as well. The full moon was Sin's peak power, influencing omens and fraternity. Kings sought favorable oracles during this moon's phase. Then we move into the Canaanite moon worship, and these were neighbors to the ancient Israels. And their god was Yarkon, and this was another moon god, influencing rituals that the Bible condemns, such as new moon sacrifices. At new moons, the Canaanites offered grain, wine, or animals in high places to that pagan god. These high places, such as pyramids and temples that you had to go up very high. You see this all over the world. These altars built up to the sky for sacrifices, and they had dances and chants that invoked lunar blessings. This pagan god was linked to the farms and the foods and the crops, and they went by this cycle during their planning. And then we start moving into the Greco-Roman lunar rituals, and these later pagan traditions relevant to the Hellenistic period, when they tied the moon to goddesses. In Greece, full moon festivals for Artemis involved torch-lit processions, offerings, hymns to seek fraternity. The moon was Artemis' domain, empowering women and hunters. And Jews post-exile encountered these rites. Acts 19:27 mentions Artemis' temple, showing her prominence. Priests interpreted moon phases for fraternity, time, wisdom, and omens. Same as the Babylonian practices. The moon revealed divine will, especially for kings. So you see how throughout time this moon worship was embedded into every part of the Israel's lives, from worship to the calendar. It was passed down from one culture to another, one time period to another, And that's how Daniel and Hananiah and Mishael and Azariah came to have pagan names. We see this again when they changed the name of the first month of the year from Abib to Nisan. And that's what I'm wanting to show you today, how to rightly divide. I want you to see how much of Babylon has made itself into the Bible. Even in the beginning, we see this in Genesis 1:14. Then Elohim said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and to let it be for omens and for appointed times and for days as opposed to night," nothing to do with the night, "and years, which is a measure of time by days." We have a separation of day from night. We have the lights for signs, seasons, days, and years. But what's missing from this list? Correct. That would be months. And as we've already covered, we count the days, not the nights. So a month is just 30 days. Every 90 days or 3 months, we change into a new season. And we do all this without anything to do with the lunatic in the sky. This is why they blew the shofar on the first day of every month. We find this in Numbers 10:10. "Also in the day of your gladness, and in your appointed times, and in the beginnings of your months, you shall blow the shofar over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your Elohim." They didn't look for any phase of the moon. They were counting the days, and on the day after the 30th day is the first day of the new month. Chodesh, not Urek. That's why the verse I just told you said, "In the beginnings of your months," they used the Hebrew word Chodesh. That's why I warn you about the message of Elohim is hidden within the text of man. The text can be corrupted, but the context message cannot. But what you have is thousands of years of scripture being translated by all types of people, written and rewritten throughout history in many different languages. Kings of nations were always seeking wisdom and wise men. That's how Daniel and the other 3 with him became under a Babylonian king. Much of the Bible was translated and at times written by scribes, many who weren't Hebrews and many who were Orthodox Jews, each adding their own slant and flavor, whether innocently or purposely. And during Babylon, we see a changeover for a period of time here and there in the Bible, just like the examples I just gave with the names being changed, the first month of the year being changed, and new added to the Tanakh, making it read new moon when it is new month. That was a slick, deceiving move from the Kenites. The calendar is numbered, not named. But if we follow the traditions of the Jews, we can name every month. And it's all Babylonian. And 3 of those months have direct links to Babylonian gods. The 3rd month is Sin. The 4th month is Tammuz. I know many of you recognize that name as a pagan god. And the 12th month is Adar, and we have the 13th month to maintain the lunar solar alignment, which is Adar 2, the same storm god as the 12th month. And these are Babylonian names they had for their calendar. See, my friends, when the Bible started taking on Aramaic language, although that is rooted in Hebrew, it can take on Babylonian words and Babylonian traditions, such as keeping the solar lunar calendar, name of the months of the year, including starting Sabbath in the evening. Yes, my friends, even that isn't a tradition of man. Now, this is one I keep as well. I like to start mine Sabbath in the evening, same as the Jews of the old time did, partly because the workday was over, something they always done. But this was also a Babylonian tradition that merged with something they were already doing anyway, and it also became the traditions of the Jews. Babylonians used a solar lunar calendar with months beginning at the new moon's first crescent. Days were reckoned from sunset to sunset. The commandment is to rest from labor work. Same as we count the days, it is the days the labor work was done. So the Sabbath day is an actual day and not an evening to evening thing unless otherwise directed for some of the appointed times. The moon can't be trusted, not for a daily count and not to be spotted. The moon is steeped in paganism. After all, it is a representation of the adversary, as it is a liar, just like he is. Look around today. The moon is connected to anything but the narrow path. All religions, all dark arts, from Islam to Wiccans. The Wiccans' lunar rituals, Ebbats, evolved full new moon ceremonies, spell work and moon water charging, honoring the goddesses and nature's cycle. The moon magic is important to them. It is the center of their worship. Did ancient Babylonian sin rituals, the new moon offerings and Shabbats, influence Jewish calendars? You bet they did, just like they influenced the text in the Bible. And that's the truth about the lunatic in the sky. Do with this whatever you like. You can ignore it or you can explore it. But the moon is a false light. That's why all the false religions kneel to its authority. We find in Deuteronomy 4:19, unless thou lift up thy eyes unto heaven, and when thou seest the sun and the moon and the stars, and even all the host of heaven, you shouldn't be driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahweh, your Elohim, had divided unto all nations under the whole heaven. Counting the days is just normal life. Seeking a slither of light in the darkness, looking to a false light for the time to serve it, is the same as kneeling and worshiping. Now, I understand the allure of mysticism, standing in the darkness, looking up for a sign, but you need to understand, all prophecies tied to Yeshua is in line with the count of the sun or the days. Every single prophecy with the moon in the Bible is tied to Hasatan and a bunch of bad events, him being the false light. This video wasn't about who has the correct calendar. It is about who is following darkness in order to find light. This is what the Freemasons and the Oddfellows do in their rituals. They make the candidates march west looking for the light when we know the sun rises in the east. They march around in a circle in a room looking for light that is behind them. And with every step, they remain in darkness as the sun is moving west as they are. Never catching the light, but always remaining in darkness. And when they do introduce you to this light, it is in degrees, broken down into a brainwashing indoctrination, just like the Jewish traditions. Believing the day starts in darkness, guided only by a false light and Babylon traditions. So don't be mad at me for showing you the meaning of the moon, both in Scripture and throughout history. I know how touchy people get over their calendars. I was just giving you the true context to meditate on. Shalom.